For over 12 years, she had carefully constructed a life that seemed ordinary to everyone around her. To her neighbors, colleagues, and even close friends, she appeared to be just another professional navigating the typical challenges of adulthood, attending meetings, managing responsibilities, and pursuing personal goals. Yet, beneath this seemingly conventional exterior lay a past few could even begin to imagine. She had once been part of an elite circle of fighter pilots, a top gun, whose precision, courage, and instincts had been honed to perfection in the most intense aerial environments. Those years had been defined by high-speed maneuvers, life or death decisions in split seconds, and the relentless pursuit of excellence that only the best of the best could achieve. But after leaving that world, she made a conscious choice to step away, to let the adrenaline-filled high-stakes life of a fighter pilot fade into memory. This secrecy wasn't born out of shame or regret. Rather, it was a deliberate attempt to protect herself and the life she was building. She understood the weight her reputation carried in military and aviation circles, the expectations that came with such a distinguished background, and the challenges of reconciling that intense identity with the quieter, civilian life she now led. Each day, she immersed herself in work that, while demanding, lacked the extreme danger of the skies. She built relationships, cultivated hobbies, and slowly allowed herself to exist outside the shadows of jet engines and combat simulations. The story of her past was tucked away like a carefully stored photograph, one that could evoke awe and fear alike but was meant for private reflection rather than public admiration. Even as she settled into this quieter existence, fragments of her former life surfaced in subtle ways. Certain conversations about aviation would trigger a flicker of recognition in her eyes. A passing mention of flight maneuvers or military protocol would remind her of missions executed with exacting precision. Yet she never divulged details, never allowed her past to dominate her present. It became a defining part of her identity that only she could fully comprehend, a hidden strength, a reserve of skill and experience lying dormant but not forgotten. Her friends and family might have seen her as composed, confident, and capable, but they had no idea of the extraordinary feats she had accomplished high above the clouds, where even a single miscalculation could cost lives. To them, her life seemed grounded, predictable even, but within her, a legacy of courage, discipline, and unmatched skill simmered quietly, waiting for the moment it might be called upon again. That moment, unbeknownst to her, was still out there, patiently awaiting the day when circumstances would demand she step back into a world she thought she had left behind. In this way, her hidden past defined her as much as her present. It was not merely a chapter of her life that ended. It was a reservoir of experience, confidence, and unparalleled ability that she had chosen to keep private, proving that true greatness often thrives in quiet anonymity, biding its time until it is once again needed. The sudden call to action arrived without warning, shattering the calm rhythm of her carefully constructed civilian life. One moment, she was immersed in her routine, focused on work, personal projects, or simply enjoying the quiet of her day, and the next, an urgent distress signal from an F-22 fighter jet ripped through the airwaves, demanding immediate attention. The tone of the message was unmistakable. Someone's life was on the line, and the situation required skills that few possessed. It was a stark reminder that, despite the years she had spent away from active duty, the world of high-stakes aviation had not forgotten her. Her training, honed under extreme pressure, was suddenly needed once more, and there was no room for hesitation. In that instant, she felt a surge of adrenaline that reminded her why she had once loved the cockpit above all else. The excitement and fear, the acute focus that had defined her days as a Top Gun pilot, returned as if no time had passed at all. The distress call wasn't just a signal for help. It was a summons to reclaim a part of herself that she had deliberately set aside. While others might have felt panic or indecision, she recognized it as a call to duty, a moment where her exceptional abilities could make the difference between life and death. Every instinct, every skill she had honed over years of rigorous training, became a vital tool to navigate the unfolding crisis. The situation was complex. An F-22, one of the most advanced fighter jets in existence, was in distress. Its pilot relied on external expertise to manage a critical failure that threatened the aircraft and its mission. The scenario demanded immediate problem-solving under extreme pressure, the ability to assess rapidly, act decisively, and execute maneuvers with precision that only years of elite experience could provide. She knew that even minor mistakes could escalate into catastrophe, yet the responsibility did not intimidate her. It activated her. The crisis forced her out of the safety and predictability of her civilian life and back into a world where every decision mattered profoundly. Emotionally, the call was just as jarring. She had spent over a decade suppressing the pull of the skies, burying her identity as a Top Gun pilot beneath layers of normalcy. Yet now, confronted with an urgent need, all that discipline, all that hidden expertise, surged forward with clarity and force. The distinction between past and present blurred as she prepared to step into the cockpit once again. The civilian persona she had cultivated felt like a distant shadow, replaced by the acute awareness and readiness that had defined her career at the highest level. This moment was more than a return to action. It was a reckoning with her own capabilities and the undeniable truth that her skills, once hidden, were still essential. The F-22's distress call did not just signal an emergency in the sky. It reminded her that some parts of oneself can never truly be abandoned. They lie dormant, ready to re-emerge when circumstances demand, transforming the ordinary back into the extraordinary. Despite being away from active duty for more than a decade, the moment she responded to the F-22's distress call, her dormant skills surged back with astonishing clarity. Years of rigorous Top Gun training, countless hours in simulators, and real-life combat experience had forged instincts that time could not erase. As she prepared to engage with the unfolding emergency, every decision, every maneuver, every calculation was guided by an almost instinctual precision. It was as though the years of civilian life had been a brief pause, and now her abilities awakened fully, unrestrained by hesitation or doubt. The first challenge was assessing the situation quickly. The F-22 was in a precarious state, and understanding the technical and tactical issues required deep knowledge of aircraft systems, flight dynamics, and crisis protocols. In that instant, she tapped into the wealth of experience she had accumulated in her military career. Her mind raced through checklists and procedures she hadn't verbalized in years, mentally rehearsing every possible maneuver. Each solution she considered was weighted by risk, balanced against the urgency of the moment. The clarity and focus that defined her as an elite pilot returned, as if she had never left the skies. Executing the necessary maneuvers required more than mental agility. It demanded physical precision and control. The feel of the controls, the sensitivity of the aircraft, the nuances of speed and trajectory, all of these were second nature to her, ingrained through years of disciplined repetition. Even the tiniest adjustment could mean the difference between averting disaster and catastrophic failure. The tension in the cockpit was immense, yet she thrived under it. Where a less experienced pilot might falter, she remained calm, methodical, and decisive, drawing on the muscle memory and reflexes that had been etched into her very being during her years as a Top Gun. Beyond technical skill, there was the strategic insight that distinguished her as a top-tier pilot. She could anticipate potential complications before they occurred, predicting how the aircraft, environmental conditions, and human factors might interact under pressure. This ability to foresee problems and adapt instantly is what had set her apart in her military career, and it now became a critical tool in managing the emergency. Every action she took was precise, every command calculated, as she orchestrated a response that maximized the chances of a successful outcome. Emotionally, the experience was both exhilarating and grounding. It reminded her of why she had loved flying at the highest level, the blend of challenge, responsibility, and sheer skill required in life or death scenarios. But it also reinforced the realization that her expertise had never truly vanished. It had simply been waiting for a moment worthy of its application. The crisis demanded her full capabilities, and she rose to meet it, proving that true mastery is not diminished by time or distance from one's former life. In the end, her rapid reawakening of skill showcased a remarkable truth. Elite training, courage, and experience are permanent assets, lying quietly until circumstances call them into action. Though she had hidden her Top Gun past for 12 years, those years had not dulled her talent. They had prepared her to apply it with even greater wisdom, focus, and resolve when the moment truly mattered. Stepping back into action brought more than just a test of skill. It brought a confrontation with the personal sacrifices that had defined her life as a Top Gun pilot. For over 12 years, she had constructed a life designed to avoid the conflicts and dangers of her former career, cherishing stability, relationships, and the freedom to live without constant peril. Yet, the F-22’s distress call demanded that she set all of that aside, at least temporarily, and answer a higher calling. The tension between personal desire and duty became palpable as she prepared to navigate the emergency. It was a stark reminder that being an exceptional pilot came with responsibilities that extended far beyond individual preference, and that courage was as much about personal sacrifice as it was about technical skill. Returning to a high-stakes scenario after so many years meant accepting risk not only for herself, but also for those who relied on her expertise. Her family, friends, and colleagues had grown accustomed to a version of her life free from immediate danger, and they were largely unaware of the intensity and complexity of her past missions. Each decision she made in the air could ripple outward, impacting not only the F-22 pilot in distress, but also the network of people who depended on her to return safely. This dual awareness heightened her sense of responsibility, reinforcing that heroism was never simply a matter of executing maneuvers. It was also the conscious acceptance of risk, the willingness to place oneself in jeopardy for the sake of others. Emotionally, the experience forced her to reconcile the life she had built with the identity she had temporarily set aside. She had deliberately hidden her past, believing that civilian life required a different version of herself, one that was less defined by danger and more by ordinary responsibilities. But the emergency revealed that the essence of who she was could not be muted entirely. Her courage, decisiveness, and capacity to act under pressure were integral parts of her being, surfacing naturally when called upon. In this sense, her return to duty was both a disruption and a revelation. It challenged her carefully constructed normalcy while affirming her inherent strength. Moreover, the scenario underscored the moral and ethical dimension of heroism. She had the option to remain uninvolved, to let others handle the crisis, but her principles dictated otherwise. Answering the call was not about recognition or acclaim. It was about honoring a responsibility she could not ignore. This willingness to sacrifice comfort and safety for the greater good reflected the very values instilled in her during her Top Gun training, a fusion of discipline, courage, and moral clarity that guided every high, pressure decision. By stepping back into this world, she demonstrated that true bravery extends beyond skill. It encompasses the willingness to face fear, to shoulder responsibility, and to prioritize the lives of others above one's own ease. Her journey revealed that heroism is as much an internal struggle as it is an external act, a balance between personal desire and unwavering duty, and that the truest measure of courage is the choice to act when it matters most. The resolution of the crisis marked more than the successful handling of an F-22 in distress. It was a reaffirmation of her legacy, a vivid demonstration that her skills, courage, and dedication had never diminished. As she guided the aircraft safely through a complex and high-risk scenario, the culmination of years of training, experience, and instinct became unmistakably clear. Every decision she made, every maneuver executed with precision, highlighted not only her technical mastery but also the depth of her commitment to duty. This moment of triumph was a testament to the fact that elite skill combined with courage under pressure could decisively alter the course of events, saving lives and preventing disaster. In the aftermath, the impact of her actions resonated far beyond the immediate emergency. Those who witnessed her performance, colleagues, air traffic controllers, and even the distressed pilot herself, were reminded of the extraordinary capabilities that lay dormant in someone who had chosen to remain out of the spotlight for years. Her return to action underscored a powerful truth. Expertise, honed over years of discipline and experience, is a permanent asset, waiting for the right moment to be called upon. While her Top Gun past had been hidden from the world, the events of that day ensured that her extraordinary talent could no longer be ignored or underestimated. Moreover, the resolution reinforced the idea that heroism is as much about character as it is about skill. Successfully navigating a crisis requires more than technical ability. It demands composure, moral clarity, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. Her actions showcased these qualities in abundance. Every choice reflected careful judgment under extreme pressure, demonstrating that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act decisively despite it. By stepping into danger voluntarily and performing flawlessly under pressure, she reminded everyone involved that true heroes emerge not in moments of comfort, but in moments of necessity. The experience also carried a deeply personal significance. While she had long hidden her past, the success of her intervention allowed her to reconcile her civilian life with her extraordinary capabilities. She realized that her identity as a Top Gun pilot was not something to be buried or forgotten. It was a fundamental part of who she was, one that could coexist with her present-day life. This reconciliation brought a sense of empowerment and closure, affirming that the years spent away from the cockpit had not diminished her, but had instead given her a broader perspective on responsibility and value of her unique skills. Finally, the heroic resolution left an enduring impression on all who heard of or witnessed it. She became an inspiring figure, not for the sake of fame, but for demonstrating the enduring power of expertise, courage, and dedication. Her actions served as a reminder that true legacy is measured not by accolades, but by the tangible impact one has on the lives of others. In saving the F-22 and its pilot, she reaffirmed her place among the elite, proving that the combination of skill, bravery, and integrity can change outcomes in profound and lasting ways.